Lordstown Motors stock analysis. Okay guys, in this video we're going to talk about yet another EV car maker called Lordstown Motors. So this is another company that recently went public via a SPAC, a special purpose acquisition company deal with Diamond Peak. So that deal is already complete. And as you can see now, the stock is currently trading under the ticker symbol RIDE, right? And it's sitting at around $26 with a market cap of around 4.4 billion. So this is a really interesting company, guys. It's actually being run currently by the former CEO of Workhorse, and Workhorse and Lordstown Motors, two companies that are kind of closely integrated. In fact, Workhorse owns a 10% stake in Lordstown Motors. So I talked earlier about Workhorse, guys. So let's get right into Lordstown Motors and go over this company. So one of the interesting things about Lordstown Motors is that I think they have one of the best business models in the entire EV industry. They found a great kind of strategy on how to quickly ramp up production. So what they ended up doing is they ended up actually purchasing an old GM factory. Now I think this is brilliant because a lot of companies like Solo, a lot of companies are building their own factories from scratch, looking for places to place them. So Lordstown kind of, saved a lot of time and a lot of money by just basically buying a factory complex that used to be owned by GM. So as you can see, this factory complex is 6.2 million square feet and can produce around 600,000 vehicles. And in this plant currently, there's already been 16 million vehicles produced. So this is a little bit different from most of these car companies. A lot of these electric vehicle car companies are based in places like California, but Lordstown is actually based in Lordstown, Ohio. So they're kind of doing, I would say, similar to Warren Buffett, where, most investment analysts and money managers, institutional managers live in places like New York or Silicon Valley, whereas Warren Buffett lives in Omaha, Nebraska. So they're kind of taking more of a kind of a middle America homegrown approach to this EV market. And I think that's what makes them really unique. So as we can see here, here's the CEO, Steve Burns, over 30 years of experience. And the good thing about Lordstown Motors is that it is a founder-led company. So once again, I prefer investing in founder-led companies. We're talking about Tesla by Elon Musk. We're talking about Jeff Bezos, Amazon. We're talking about Reed Hastings with Netflix. So good background, founder-led company, exactly what I'm looking for, guys. So now let's talk a little bit more about their flagship vehicle that they plan to produce called the Lordstown Endurance. So as we can see here, this company is basically going to produce electric pickup trucks. So they're not really focusing on sedans or regular cars. They're focusing on commercial pickup trucks. So here's a look at the 2021 Endurance. And also I like about this company is that they're just focusing on one product. So I think obviously if you're going to start up a new company in the EV space, I do like, for instance, Solo strategy. They are planning to launch several different cars, but at first Solo is going to launch the three-wheeled vehicle, and that's exactly what Lordstown Motor is doing. They're focusing on one vehicle right now, and they're focusing on perfecting this vehicle. And one of the interesting things about this vehicle I read is that it's the first commercial vehicle to feature 4 in-wheel hub motors. So instead of these motors being attached to the axle, they're actually attached to the hub of the wheel, which apparently gives it more control and fewer parts, and fewer parts means less maintenance. So as you can see here, it talks about fewer moving parts. So let's talk a little bit more about some of these specs. So it's at $52,500, but the first 200,000 vehicles are eligible for the $7,500 EV tax credit. So this vehicle price pretty much comes down to around $45,000, making it by far one of the cheapest pickups that you can find. And as you can see here, pretty nice specs, everything, pretty powerful vehicle as well, EV range of over 250 miles. So definitely this vehicle is going to get a lot of attention. And the vehicle already has around 50,000 pre-orders, and the company is planning on ramping up production to well over 100,000 vehicles by 2024. So to give you guys kind of a comparison of the Endurance versus the Ford F-150, the F-150 is one of the most popular pickups. We can see that after it's all said and done, this truck is around almost $20,000 cheaper. So now I'm going to talk a little bit more. We're going to head over to the latest Okay, so now we're going to talk about the latest business update, and we're going to head over to the investor presentation, and then I'm going to give you guys my price prediction on this company. So to give you guys a couple of updates on what's going on, one of the most important things is that they released in a recent press release that they have approximately 50,000 non-binding production reservations for the Endurance. So that is a substantial amount, and if we could do some quick math here, I'll show you guys exactly how much this is worth. Okay, so I just did some quick math here. So we have 50,000 reservations times a average selling price of around $52,500. So now we're looking at over $2 billion and reservations, guys. So that is very, very solid sales figure. And to put Tesla stock is currently trading at a price to sales ratio of around 17. So obviously all of these cars aren't going to be delivered at once. They're going to be delivered over time. But the good thing is that there's a lot of value in this company. If you put it at a price to sales ratio of all of those deliveries at around $44 billion in potential market cap value, and the stock is currently trading at a market cap of $4 billion, there's a lot of upside in that number. So now we go back to the business update. We could see that they're also increasing their headcount. So another thing we want to see is we want to see these companies increase the employees, because it's almost impossible to produce these vehicles if you don't have enough staff to support production. So they're actually increasing the internal headcount from 500,000 by the end of this year to over tripling it to 1,500 by the end of next year. So that's awesome. And they're also opening a satellite research and development system in Michigan as well, and a service center in Irvine, California. So this is exactly what we want to see. We want to see the company not just make a bunch of claims like Nikola Motor did, and they got into a lot of trouble and there are a lot of lawsuits. So we're just looking for basically the company to just back up what they said and focus on producing that one vehicle, which is the Endurance. So now we'll head over to the investor presentation to give you guys the full background and show you guys those future revenue projections that I was mentioning. So you can take a look at all this information at lordstownmotors.com and head over to the investor tab. So this presentation is actually a couple of months old. This was posted before the SPAC deal was announced. So as you can see here, we'll just quickly run over basically where this company is going to be headed in the future. So like I said, I mentioned earlier, their flagship product, the Endurance, 5 times better mileage than other internal combustible engine pickups and lower maintenance costs. And this company has a lot of other companies involved in it. They're being invested by, like I mentioned earlier, Workhorse. GM has a stake in the company. So overall, they have a lot of support. You know, most of the management team has almost 25 years at least plus experience. So definitely a company. This isn't being run by a bunch of people that are just getting into the game. This looks like a team of people that have worked at many other larger companies that are coming together to build something great. So one of the biggest, I would say, tailwinds for this company is that apparently by 2024, over 60% of vehicles sold are expected to be fully electric. And there's a huge market for commercial trucks, and that's exactly what Lordstown Motors is focusing on. Now they have key partnerships with GM, Goodyear, Samsung, Workhorse, and they have lots of pre-orders from a lot of these energy companies and these commercial companies that need pickup trucks. So like I said, they're just well positioned. Really what we're worried about now is we're just worried about execution. So, you know, like I mentioned earlier, over $2 billion in pre-orders, and that's kind of similar to where Solo was. Solo had a lot of pre-orders as well. So the good thing about this company is that with all of these pre-orders, you know that there's revenue baked in. They're basically a bunch of companies just waiting for these trucks. Now all they have to do is produce them. So here kind of is a comparison in the other kind of truck competitors. You have Rivian, which is really backed by Amazon. I'm going to talk about that one in a future video. Tesla, of course, in their Cybertruck, Nikola Motors in their Badger, and then Ford and GM, you know, they're kind of late to the party. They're going to be producing some electric vehicles in the future. But the good thing is that according to this chart, it looks like Lordstown is going to be actually the first to market. And after the tax credit, they're going to have one of the cheapest vehicles at only $45,000. Okay, so as you can see here, here's to take a look at that former GM plant that they purchased to save them a lot of time by basically not having to build a facility. And as you can see here is a look at their plant that they purchased from GM, basically saving them a lot of time. They don't have to build a plant themselves. And they got a pretty good price on this plant as well. I believe they bought it for pretty cheap, something like $40 to $60 million. So as you can see here, Basically, their whole goal is to be first to market, and they have a projected of around 107,000 vehicles produced by 2024. So remember now, we said that they had a goal for around 50,000 pre-orders that's worth over 2 billion. So just quickly do some math. That means that their projected revenue in 2024 should be well north over $4 billion. So now we're going to talk a little bit more about those financial numbers and those revenue projections. So as you can see here, it says projected revenue in 2024 is actually over $5 billion, almost $6 billion. So right now the current market cap is $4 billion. So projected revenue for 2023 and 2024 is almost as much as the current market cap is now. And with the price to sales ratio, using Tesla, like I said, use Tesla as the benchmark for most of my videos when it comes to price to sales ratio, because they already have so many vehicles delivered. They're basically doing around 500,000 vehicles a year. As you can see here, that would be around almost 6 billion times 17, which is a pretty hefty number. So if this company backs up what they say, we could be looking at a company with a massive market cap just 3 to 4 years from now. Just to do some quick math here. Okay, so I just did some quick math here. So I just took the revenue, which the projected revenue of 5.7 billion, and then I multiplied it by that price to sales ratio of Tesla. So as you can see here, that's around 96 billion. So could this company become a $96 billion company within the next 4 years? It's possible. Things are looking good. They've got plenty of pre-orders. They have excellent management, founder-led company, and backing by other companies like Workhorse and GM and things like that. So everything looks good now. The only thing is with this company is that it's going to take some time for those orders to come in. So as you can see here, it looks quite undervalued compared to Hyliion, Nikola, and Fisker. So guys, with this stock, I would say this is a long-term buy and hold. Of course, they've made a lot of promises, but we really won't know exactly what's going to happen with this stock until we see some production, until we see some vehicles on the road, until we get some customer feedback to see exactly whether people like this vehicle or not. So like I said, guys, it looks really good for this company. So now I'm going to talk a little bit more about my future price target. Okay, so now we are here. We're kind of looking at the chart. Let's back things up. Kind of hard to do too much technical analysis on this company since it just went public via a SPAC deal a couple of months ago. But we can already see that the 52-week high for this company is around, I would say, $31 or something like that. So in the short term, we're basically just off the 52-week high, but the company hasn't actually produced any vehicles. And as I mentioned earlier, there's a potential for this company to become a $100 billion company if they kind of back up what they say. And they also have plans for an SUV down the road once they start producing more of these Endurances. So now I know a lot of you thinking maybe, oh, 100 billion for this company, it sounds outrageous, but 4 years is a lot of time. Tesla is already over 500 billion. How much will Tesla be worth by 2024? Well, at this current growth rate, it's going to be well over $1 trillion. So, if Tesla's trading at over $1 trillion by 2024, I don't see any reason why this company can't be trading at between 50 to 100 billion. So there's a massive upside for this stock, but you've got to be patient with this because there's no production right now. So looking at the current market cap, $4 billion, it seems like basically a lot of people are thinking this has potential, but they're not really too heavily invested in it. We haven't seen the stock price absolutely skyrocket like we've seen with some other EV companies, more so those charging stations, ChargePoint and things like that. Those prices have skyrocketed. So like I said, my short-term price target is, I think once the orders and the deliveries start rolling in and the revenue starts rolling in, I think this stock is going to rise. So definitely this stock is clearly cheap if you're willing to hold for the long term. And when I say hold term, I mean at least a year or 2 years. This is also one of the candidates where it would be good to just buy it and forget about it. So you buy this stock, you forget about it for a couple of years because you're just not going to see a lot of movement until they start delivering vehicles. And that's exactly what happened with Tesla. A lot of people had been preaching about Tesla stock for years, but the deliveries weren't there. And then all of a sudden, like over the last 52 weeks, when the deliveries started ramping up and Tesla started turning profitable with those regulatory credits, that's when the stock absolutely just went through the roof. So I'm hoping that we see the same thing here. My short-term price target for this stock by 2021, I wouldn't be surprised to probably see it trade around this similar type range, because there just aren't any deliveries. But in a year's time from now, once they start delivering their initial vehicles and start generating a bit of revenue, we could see this stock absolutely soar a lot. So, and also the company plans to become profitable around 2022. So once, you know, like we saw with Tesla, once they started bringing in those profitable quarters, that's when a lot of new investor interest came into the company. So my short-term price target for Lordstown Motors, like I said, no vehicle deliveries right now, none planned for at least a year. I think around $30, $30 to $40 is a fair price target. Basically, you know, near its 52-week high. But a longer term price target, if this company has the potential to become a $100 billion company in the future, that means the stock price is going to be up 20-fold. Now, assuming there aren't any things like stock splits or anything like that, Lordstown Motors could be a $500 stock in the future, like in a couple of years. Yes, it's possible with these electric companies. So that's it for now, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video on Lordstown Motors. I think it's a strong buy, but it's definitely not a stock you probably want to trade in and out of. This is the best stock you would probably buy for your portfolio and just forget about it for a couple of years. So if you enjoy my content, please smash the like button and please smash the red subscribe button to see more videos from me. I'm going to be covering basically all of the interesting EV stocks in this sector, kind of doing this video series. So I hope you guys enjoy this content. So that's until next time, guys. Take care.